Brandon, Charlie Kirk said black men like you were better off during slavery. Do you agree with him?
Now listen, 100%.
You believe
Now
100%
what?
that
Wait,
you were better
after
off?
slavery, let
So
me
you're
explain
saying you
because
would
maybe
be
you don't
better
know
off
black history.
during
No,
slavery?
you don't understand black history and you don't understand what Charlie was saying.
Charlie Kirk said black men like you were better off during slavery. Do you agree with him?
Now listen, 100%. You don't understand black history and you don't understand what Charlie was saying. Listen, after slavery, there was an explosion of success in the black community. We had Black Wall Street. We were married to the women we had children with. Black people had a tremendous amount of success. Our success was growing faster than white people during that period of time. Now look at us.
Yeah, now look at you. All the progress people of color have made over the last few decades, and you're over here doing your best to set them back. Officer Tatum, what a pathetic bootlicker you are. I'm sure we're going to see plenty of memes in the comments of what you really are. Charlie Kirk said black men were better off during slavery, and you agreed. Well, why don't you agree to be a slave right now for 1 week? Be someone's slave if it's so much better. He said after slavery, there was an explosion of success in the black community. Yeah, you're right. Keywords. After slavery, not during slavery. Moron. Black people who worked hard for themselves were able to accomplish a lot rather than working hard for someone else. You said the success of black people was growing faster than white people, and you brought up Black Wall Street. Yeah, you're right. Now, can you please tell us, Uncle Ruckus, what happened to Black Wall Street? Does the Tulsa Massacre ring a bell? The people you defend burned down Black Wall Street. There were so many successful black towns that were torn apart by the same people that you're working for. Does this look familiar? This is Lake Lanier in Georgia, and it used to be a successful black community. They were drowned out again by the people that you support. Officer Tatum, you could be the biggest sellout in the whole country. What a sorry-ass excuse for a man. For a racist white person to say this shit is just evil. And with a person of color saying the shit that you're saying, holy shit. I think you just clearly proved that Charlie Kirk was a racist and white supremacist. People, let Brandon Tatum know what you think in the...
I don't believe that you can say that money was stolen from black people during slavery.
Oh, but
let
it was.
me
Black people hurt black people more than anyone else hurts black people.
Okay.
My question to you is why?
Well, that's a really good question. I think that it stimulates from a few different facets, and I think a lot of them are responsible, but for the most part, by black people. When you are not raised in a loving household and you're not protected, you don't have a father in the household, those things lead to devastating outcomes. Young men doing things they're not supposed to do, like we see in modern society, these young YNs. All of these things are contributing factors to decisions that we make.
Okay, cool. So what you're describing is a byproduct of poverty, right? And what we know under a capitalist system is that poverty compounds over time in history as well as wealth. And what has happened systematically as well as systemically in the system is that black people have been pushed away from wealth-creating mechanisms. This has happened for generations, even past slavery. Even if we were to argue that after slavery, nothing else happened. There was no Jim Crow laws, there was no redlining, there was no unequal implementation of the GI Bill. We would still see that, like, our country has lived under the disenfranchisement of black people longer than it has been free. So my question is, what do you think accounts for like the $4 to $16 trillion that was stolen from black people through slavery? Like, where is that equalizing mechanism?
I don't believe that you can say that money was stolen from black people during slavery.
Oh, but
let me explain. Because money wasn't stolen, opportunities were not there because black people were slaves. It's not a fair comparison.
So imagine this, you got 200 people on a plantation and they're making you millions and millions of dollars, right, a year through their labor, right? So what happens is there's no money to steal because black people weren't granted the humanity to be compensated for the value of the...
Officer Tatum, you dirty ass cop, whatever the fuck you used to be. What the fuck are you defending? Because ain't no way you're defending these thugs way too much. It's like you're their lawyer. It's like, why are you defending these thugs so much? What do you get in return? I promise you, these white folks do not see you as one of them at all. They don't look at you as one of them at all. We have these stupid ass comments saying, oh, stop bringing race into this. Bro, if it was never about race, or if it wasn't about race, we all would have been on the same page for right now. We all would want to know what happened to Nolan. But instead, all these white people are defending these thugs like their life depend on this shit. They don't even know what the fuck they're defending. They're just defending him just because they're white.
These Officer Tatum types, they kill me because they never look at black history as a whole. So let's look at it. First you get slavery. Okay, and then you move from slavery to Jim Crow era. Jim Crow era lasted like 80, 90 years to the 60s, to the civil rights movement. Then you move to the 70s where if your name was like Shaquanda Jenkins, employers was just like, I'm not calling you back. And then you move to the 80s where crack just mysteriously appeared in everybody's neighborhoods. And then you move to now. They trying to take away our voting blocks. You got home inspectors that come in and lowball our houses. That's the thing. And then you got those who's taking away thousands of our jobs. On and on and on. Police violence. Just on and on and on. I asked my grandmother at one time, I said, Granny, what did y'all do during the Great Depression? My granny said, oh, we didn't even know it was a Great Depression. That just means black people are resilient. Leave us alone.
Hey, Officer Tatum, what exactly is there to think through? You were asked whether communism or Jim Crow segregation did more damage to black people. And you said, I'd have to think that through, Naima. But the question was not which system caused more suffering throughout all of world history. The question was, which one of those things did more damage to black Americans? Black Americans did not grow up under a communist government. They grew up under Jim Crow segregation. They was denied the vote. They were segregated by law. They were shut out of schools, neighborhoods, employment, and economic opportunity. They were terrorized for attempting to exercise rights that the Constitution was supposed to guarantee them. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who I'm a fan of, who was not a communist and did not believe in Marxism, understood exactly how America's injustice strengthened communism's appeal. You know what he said? Dr. King said in his Why I'm Opposed to the War in Vietnam speech, he said, it is a sad fact that because of comfort, complacency, a morbid fear of communism, our proneness to adjust to injustice, the Western nations that initiated so much of the revolutionary spirit of the modern world have now become the arch anti-revolutionaries, and this has driven many to feel that only Marxism has a revolutionary spirit. Therefore, communism is a judgment against our failure to make democracy real. And our only hope today lies in our ability to recapture the revolutionary spirit and go out into a sometimes hostile world, declaring eternal hostility to poverty, racism, and militarism. This is what I mean when I say the radical right loves to select when they care about history. Cut it out. Stop the BS. This is why people are embarrassed by black conservatives. 100%. And as a black conservative, that I will never reject the truth. You did?
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, CS Motivated Minds. Hey, I just want to play y'all a little bit of this real quick, and then I'm gonna show y'all something.
Black people commit over half of all murders in this country. If you're 25 and under, the leading cause of death for you is being murdered by another black person.
Think you foolish. I've listened to a lot of rap music. You know what I've never done? Shot up a school.
Do you think that Karl Marx hurt the black community and his ideology hurt the black community more than Jim Crow segregation?
I have to think that through. My next surrounded claim is that black people hurt black people more than any other group. My final surrounded claim is that systemic racism is used as an excuse to avoid personal responsibility.
First of all, Brandon Tatum is an idiot, all right? Do y'all see the things what he's saying about the so-called black on black crime and the murder statistics and systematic racism is an excuse? Blacks are more likely to be killed by blacks. Those are the same talking points that a lot of conservatives been speaking for years. He comes with the same talking points over and over again, and people like him, Anton Daniels, the Hodge twins, Tommy Sotomayor, and there's a few others. They're all cut from the same cloth. They bootlicking, tap dancing, shine boning Sambos is what they are. What he's saying is very deceptive or divisive, as they like to say. Because when you look at the statistics, what you find is that whites commit more crimes than blacks. The issue is blacks are arrested more than whites and convicted and sent to prison more than whites or any other race. And furthermore, what he's not telling you is that blacks make up the majority of exonerations that we have in the United States. Why? Because the data shows that blacks are significantly more likely to be wrongfully convicted in the first place. So again, these are just conservative talking points. They say the same things over and over, and they skew the statistics. But it's all in black and white. All you got to do is go look up the FBI statistics, and you'll see it for yourself. Whites are more than likely to not only commit but be convicted of SA more than anybody else. They're more likely to be pedophiles more than anybody else, and abusers. That's facts. But these guys do everything in their power to make blacks look bad. They never say anything positive about black people, and I mean ever. But hey, they're making money off of it, and they tap dancing, for them folk.
Charlie Kirk said black men like you were better off during slavery.
No, he did not. Show me the proof, and I'll give you $1,000. Just because you don't understand history and you look at everything in the lens as black people are the ultimate victims in perpetuity, don't mean that Charlie Kirk can have an expression of something I agree with him on. Now you're here sitting here trying to tell a black man that I can't agree with Charlie Kirk on the fact that I think that black people were in a better trajectory when we were in the 30s
during
after
slavery.
He didn't
said
say
during slavery.
You're lying. He said after slavery.
You were better off during slavery.
No, he did not. Show me the proof, and I'll give you $1,000.
All right, let's go.
You don't have it. Ain't no way in the world Charlie said we're better in slavery. He said after slavery. It's a whole sentiment around it. And black people understand this. History reflects this. Thomas Sowell expressed this. Black people were in a trajectory on a path doing better than white people. Anybody can fact check that. We had millionaires. We had people who were very successful. Black Wall Street, you name it. We had a lot of production. We were teaching our own schools. We had our own transportation. We owned our own companies, entertainment, you name it, we had it. It wasn't until we began to integrate in a way that Martin Luther King thought was best that we begin to see the degradation of the black community.
And by the way, we've checked this. Charlie Kirk did not say that black people were better off in slavery. There was a manipulated video clip circulating on social media that created that false impression. This originated.
Brandon Tatum posted this clip from his interview on Piers Morgan, and I want to talk about how this clip landed with me and why it's important. This is not just a political commentator or content creator, it's one of Charlie's closest friends. And so it's very interesting to see the other gentleman vehemently proclaiming that Charlie believed something or said something that he didn't say. Imagine having an argument with someone who didn't know Charlie and just watching him not even take the time to ask the question or maybe get more insight, but to rather assert his position. For me, it's almost like the nerve of that in the first place. It's similar to what we saw around September 10th when Charlie passed, where you had people who knew Charlie personally across the spectrum as it relates to, their race, and black people who were his closest friends or people who did business with him or people who he mentored or gave opportunities to who spoke highly of Charlie. They were arguing with people who didn't know Charlie about what he really thought and felt. You had people who were close to Charlie detailing how their family and friends were upset that they supported him, or people who met him or knew him or worked with him having to justify why they wanted to support Charlie. If you know someone who personally supported Charlie, you're basically listening to the media and social media, the internet, over a person that you know personally. My first instinct, if I know someone personally and they supported Charlie and I heard that he was racist or he was a bad person, my instinct would be to go to the person that I know personally and ask, okay, what are your thoughts on this? Because this is conflicting for me. But some people obviously didn't have the capacity to do that. And they're never considering that they're wrong. It's always just like, okay, well, he's racist. That's the claim. And then when black people come out and say, no, he was my friend, or I knew him, or he was great to me, or I had a good relationship with him, they will just, that's cognitive dissonance right there. They can't hold two of those things as being true. And so then they'll just say, oh, well, then those black people aren't even black. Or those black people just don't like themselves, or they want to be white adjacent, again, whatever that means, as opposed to saying, maybe I'm wrong. They never consider that. Understand that people are repeating claims like this not because they check the source, but because it confirms what they already assumed about Charlie. He was a Republican. He supported Donald Trump. So they already had preconceived notions about Charlie, and they're just looking for things to confirm that. People who actually knew Charlie do not recognize the man that's being described online. And that gap between the caricature and the real person is not a coincidence. It's what happens when the secondhand claim travels faster than the truth. Although he did it with resistance, it was great to see him admit that he was wrong and publicly apologize after pushback and pressure from peers. We need to be more responsible with what we repeat online because it has real consequences. There are real people behind these screens. We saw how damaging this type of rhetoric can be on September 10th. I go into greater detail on this topic over on my Substack. Click the link in my bio to join my community.
Yeah, and I just watched Officer Tap Dance on Jubilee. Yeah, keep that coon shit away from me. Nope. I don't think I can keep my composure to hear somebody say, well, you know, slavery wasn't really based on race. I would be one of those black ignorant people that y'all talk about because I think off of a knee-jerk reaction, I would just reach across the table, right? And the brother tried to be nice about it and say, well, you know, chattel slavery. Then he kept saying, no, well, slavery. No, he said chattel slavery. Well, slavery, You see? That's how they play with you. That boy got the Neanderthal spirit in him. Nope, can't do it. And don't y'all legs get tired from tap dancing? Y'all feet don't get tired from tap dancing? And I thought he was a tap dancer like Candace Owens is a tap dancer, right? No. He goes far past that. He's like a supreme tap dancer. He's a supreme chronologist. Then he said the Tulsa Race Massacre, that was just a little incident between black people and white people. Excuse me, sir? Yeah, and afterwards, they just rebuilt. No, afterwards, they systemically railroaded these people into poverty and completely wiped the place out. Every time they tried to rebuild, they kept destroying it. And the Tulsa Race Massacre happened off of the false allegations of a white woman. And on top of that, when they was absolutely dismantled and they tried to get their money out of the banks did not even try to help them and kept all of their money.
Here's my message to some of you ignorant, melanated people that's in my comment section and in my messenger, talking about I hate my people, I hate my race. And you want me to take up for people that's wrong just because they black. I have said from the very beginning that I support finding out what happened to Nolan Wells. Everybody want to know what happened to Nolan Wells. When I talk to the young boys, they want to know what happened to Nolan Wells because they weren't there when he apparently died. But you want me to go out on a limb and hate these young boys because they white.
I promise you, Officer Tatum, nobody is trying to get you to hate them. Nobody is saying that. You chose to give a podcast platform to one of Nolan's so-called friends that let Nolan to be the only kid be missing, and they deactivated their accounts. And your whole content creating, you built your whole platform being anti-black. That's why that white boy felt comfortable getting on your podcast show of Nolan's case. While he didn't report to the police, they all deactivated their accounts. They claim they don't know what happened, which that don't make any sense. They went with them on the 4th of July. People don't like that you make videos of negative about black people. You make a bunch of anti-black content. People don't like that you pander to white supremacists. And based on that interview of Nolan's so-called friends, I don't think they were really best friends. I don't really think he was really his friend. Real friends will call the police. Real friends will have prayers on the family. Real friends wouldn't just deactivate their accounts. Real friends wouldn't just keep his phone. Real friends will be sad and make sure they don't get back to home until they find Nolan. Let's be honest, Officer Tatum. If the color was roles reversed and 3 black boys left out a white kid out, would you have interviewed those black kids? Would you interview the black kid in your podcast? Ask him the story, what happened? No, you wouldn't, because you know how your racist Republican audience wouldn't like that. You felt comfortable because it was for your racist Republican audience, MAGA audience specifically. And by the way, nobody is saying take up for black people, even if they're wrong. Come on, no one's saying that, dude.
Officer Tatum, seemed like you wanted to put yourself in the middle of this and you've been caping for them friends. Did they take polygraph tests?
From my understanding, all but I believe one took a polygraph, and
okay, cool. So all of them except one did take a polygraph test.
From what was told to me, that they all passed, and all of
so you haven't seen a polygraph test because this is what was told to you.
The ones that took a polygraph took one without a lawyer, and so
you have no concrete information, wasn't there, but you also know that they took the polygraphs without lawyers there. Oh, okay.
Oh, and they cooperated with law enforcement. So
seems like you're making a whole lot of assertions.
My understanding, everybody took a polygraph test, but one.
Understand?
Thank you, Nancy. I have the same question.
they tell you they took a poly and passed?
They told they yes, ma'am. They told me that they did it. I wasn't there, so
Wasn't there and have no information, but everything that they told you is just good as the gospel.
Warren also cooperated police. I just believe he didn't take a lie detector test, but Warren is the young man that I interviewed. So,
And you don't think it's significant that Warren didn't take the lie detector test because you interviewed him and he seemed believable?
they all took a lie detector test and passed, and it's an equivalent of a lie detector test.
It's the equivalent of a lie detector test. Wait a second. So they didn't take a lie detector test, the traditional lie detector test?
Not a traditional lie detector test, but it's the same theology of trying to get to if a person is lying.
Officer Tatum, we're not talking about theology. Did you mean technology? Are you nervous?
I don't know the name of it. It's an equivalent of a lie detector test.
So now you don't even know the name of the test that they took. All these tests that they took that you said that they passed and cooperated with police, you don't even know the name of the test.
So then the answer to did they take a polygraph would be no.
Absolute disgrace. You have no concrete information, don't know nothing, ain't seen nothing, can't verify nothing, but you out here caping. Disgrace. Hope you like being on that side.
You told me that they exist, whether they posted them or not. So they were taking pictures and videos. Don't you see why the mom, Nolan's mom, is concerned? There's nothing on her son's phone.
Well, Nancy, it's unclear exactly what the mother is articulating, because at one point she's concerned that there's not a lot of Snapchats or social media posting. She did not articulate, or the Benjamin Crump did not mention that there's nothing on his phone. So they're not saying that the phone was wiped and there's no images or anything. She was concerned about his social media frequency, which I believe after talking to the boys, it was consistent with what they said, and it was consistent with basic deductive reasoning that maybe he didn't post a lot on that day. So what remains a focus for me, and if I was investigating this
Not
case,
talking about
I
posting.
would want to know.
Not talking about whether he posted, officer.
No,
he didn't
what
even
I'm saying
take
is
anything.
that
there's no pictures. There's no anything.
Like, what did they do wrong? They did an autopsy. Officer Tatum, respectfully, what about those who would say the same or would ask the same question about you? Are you being fair? Because just like you have people out there that are elevating their level of suspicion and jumping to some sort of conclusion attached to guilt as it pertains to the death of Nolan Wells, you're coming across as somebody who's assuming these individuals that were in attendance with him were innocent because of your conversations with them, as opposed to not getting the full context the way Charles Coleman Jr. just highlighted.
No, yeah, I accept people saying that, but let me tell you that I saw proof. I'm not just taking somebody's account for it. And I'm not saying that nobody didn't kill Nolan. I'm telling you, the people that they put out on the internet and said these white boys were the only ones with him, and they're getting death threats. While I was out there, somebody sent a suspicious package to one of the boys' houses. They showing up at these boys' houses saying that they killed them. Go look on the internet and look at any in these videos. They got the boy pictures up there saying they had something to do with his death. They're claiming they deleting text messages. All of this stuff is incredibly ridiculous. When I went out and I said, show me the proof then. Not just what you say, show me the proof. And these kids are showing proof, their lawyers are showing proof that they had nothing to do with this. They have a Life 360 just like Nolan did. Their Life 360 showed that they were not on the island, or at least, the young man that I interviewed, he wasn't even on the island. I saw his Life 360. So, I mean, these kids, they shouldn't have done these boys like this. They should let the investigation go and then make their accusations.
So you're highlighting specifically, you're not even saying, like you just said, you're not even saying that Nolan Wells, that some vile act, that he wasn't murdered. You're saying that these boys, those are the ones that are being unfairly scrutinized and villainized by this whole ordeal. That's what you're saying, Officer Tatum. Is that accurate?
Yes, Stephen A. There were black kids there who now getting threats online too for coming out and saying something. But nobody's saying, what did these black kids have anything to do with it? The young girl he was kicking it with, they don't have her name out there. Her name is Katie, but I'm not gonna say her full name. I don't want her to get doxxed. They not nobody talking about her. She said she was the last one. I mean, she at least mentioned that she was with him. The boys showed me text messages from her that she's saying that she was with him. Like, why ain't
I've
nobody
seen,
coming at? How
I've
nobody coming at
seen.
her?
I can't imagine that that legal team would look to bring a lawsuit without having attempted to at least try to get some investigative answers from these boys. Now, when in this process they do it is a different question, because at the end of the day, the more information you have, the more informed questions you can ask. And the chances are you're not going to get multiple bites at that apple. So, from a strategic place, what I can tell you is that yes, I would fully expect that at some point they would endeavor to reach out to these boys, but it may not be this point because they may be waiting for additional information so that they can actually ask better questions. They're not going to get multiple chances to do it. So when you do it, you want to make sure that you're doing it the best way you can. And the only way to do that is to have the information that you need in order to
Officer
ask the
Tatum.
best questions.
Officer Tatum,
Charles,
go
they
ahead.
drug these boys through the mother freaking mud. They put their faces online. Benjamin Crump shared this video or this picture of them in a swimming pool. That happened. That event was a week before July 4th. He didn't do no due diligence to check with anybody before he started putting this stuff out there. Then what he do is he go, I had people saying that the argument was Nolan Wells asking for his phone back. He didn't talk to Tristan, who I interviewed. Tristan said on NBC, that was me, or ABC, that was me. That was not Nolan. But Benjamin Crump still to this day haven't came out and said, we found out that it was another young man. He pushed this stuff on these boys and they getting death threats. That stuff is not right. Benjamin should be more responsible. But the
I'm
reason
not
that
here
I
to talk
have
about Nolan Wells' lawyer. I'm here to talk about why Nolan Wells is
Okay.
why Nolan Wells is dead.
But let's get
That's
to that.
fair.
Let's get to that. Let's
That's
get to
fair.
this.
Hold
Let's
on.
get to
That's
this.
the conversation.
Let's get to the phones.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The phones getting deleted because Al Sharpton came out there and said the mama had to go and search the phone down with GPS and Life 360. No, she didn't. The boys showed text messages, or the parents showed text messages of them communicating with his mom. She refused. And then they go and say they deleted. The boys say, the boys told me it could be not true or not. I don't know. They got to figure it out. They go, we didn't touch his phone.
Hi, Officer Tatum. Hi. I would like to know, how much were you paid to do that interview with Warren after the fact that his stepmother contacted you? The world would like to know. It's very weird that Warren took you out to the island and showed you around. But he's not, taking a tour guide with the cops. So how much did they pay you? Because you be hating on people that look like me. So we just was wanting to know, how much you was paid.
So, if you thought you've had it all, well, you haven't. So, this Datum guy goes on live and being like, black people were doing better during slavery compared to now. Like, who can say that knowing what black people endured? Like, you'll have to have so much hatred, or I just don't understand the brainwash or something, because black people suffered. There was nothing good about those times for black people. They suffered. Children were raped. Others were used as alligator bait. Their skin were ripped off and made as leather shoes. Black men, black women were lynched, like they would be hanging on the trees. Like, what is so good about those days? Like, a black couple couldn't even marry during those times. There was no freedom of anything. Kids could not even go and play together. They couldn't even go to the same school or sit next to each other. So what is good about those days? Because I keep seeing videos that say the same thing, like, oh, black people didn't commit so much crime during those times compared to now. So who are committing the crimes? Because the white people are committing those crimes, yeah? And we should just we should just stop with the stereotypes of crimes and crimes. There's good people and bad people in both sides, yeah? But it's always like people are always waiting for a black person to go through something or do something and be like, black people this, black people that. And we can see it by the like how we're just treated, like how black Americans in America are treated. It's crazy. And to see a fellow black person go on screen and be like, those were better days, it's just it's crazy. Because oh my god, do you really know what black Americans went to? Segregation. They couldn't even drink from the same fountain as the white people. They were dumped in these neighborhoods that couldn't grow. They couldn't even start a business because of the rules that were placed to hold them back. And you can see the results of that now in black neighborhoods and just people in general. And you, like, how do you go on TV and be like, yeah, you agree with something like that? You agree with women getting raped during those times? Because that was the worst crime. Like, it is the worst crime against humanity. Slavery, colonization. Like, these white people used to chop kids in Congo, what their hands were chopped off because their parents couldn't be able to fulfill the rubber of the day. Like, they would go to farms and you're farming the rubber or what, and if your family couldn't like fulfill the amount that was set, your kids, literally their arms were chopped off so that you're like, okay, now you've paid the price, like you've paid the rubber in full. So what is good about those days? We couldn't even move from cities to cities without like, oh my god, it has to just stop. Because if we are going to talk like this about ourselves, then how do we expect other people to talk about us? Because if they see, if black people can talk about themselves in such a way, what is going to stop us from acting the same way, thinking the same way? Like, how do we stop as parents having to have conversations and preparing our kids when going out that they are in danger just because they are black? These are things that need to stop, because our kids need to go outside like normal kids and not have to be prepared that, oh, if you go out you can be stereotyped. Because these people think, oh, we were better off those times when people were caged, abused. This is crazy. Oh my god. So guys, leave your comments about what you think. Do you agree that black people were better off during slavery? So leave your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video.